Hey Canucks fans, it is Sunday. That means it's another edition of Ask Me Anything. I'm Clay Emo. I'm at Canuck Clay on Twitter. I'm at Clayton Emo on Instagram. I'm the founder of the GLCPC, the Good Looking Canucks Positivity Club. This is my Canucks take, all in one take. It's Clay's Canucks commentary for Sunday, September the 27th. This is where you get Canucks insight that's positive and timely. Don't forget, because it's Sunday, tonight, 10 p.m., my weekly YouTube live stream. I hope you join me. And as I kind of hinted at in my vlog yesterday, not a lot of activity going on with the Vancouver Canucks, at least nothing publicly. Maybe a lot is happening behind the scenes, but let's explore some of those things tonight. So make sure you join me tonight at 10 p.m. on YouTube. Did you check out last night's Game 5 between Tampa and Dallas? Pretty exciting stuff. I thought that in the first overtime, Tampa completely dominated, but the second overtime period, Dallas came out with kind of like almost a new philosophy, a new strategy, and a new energy, and they ended up winning the game. And now we're heading to a Game 6 on Monday night. So love your thoughts on that. We can talk about that tonight as well as part of my live stream. Okay, today I've got 6 questions, and they're all Canucks related, and they're all actually quite good, and a couple of them are related, but overall, I think we got a good mixture of questions today. So let's get right into it. And thanks again to everyone who submitted questions. And these are all from YouTube. I didn't actually have to go to Twitter because I had enough from YouTube for an entire video today. Eli says this: what are your takes on trading assets, i.e. prospects and picks, as sweeteners in cap dumps versus buyouts versus buying salary? So again, including sweeteners in cap dumps versus buyouts versus burying salaries. What's your preferred method of clearing cap given the team situation? That's an excellent question, Eli. And I would say that my preference is that they use their one buyout. And I talked about that in my Friday vlog about why Brandon Sutter is the best candidate in terms of savings, in terms of long-term effect. But I think buyout is the best option for me. Then you can bury salaries in Utica because you don't have to extend the hit of the salary cap, but you are limited to only 1.05 million or whatever against the cap. And then my third and least favorite option is including sweeteners, because I don't think the Canucks have any, at least they don't want to give away any more draft picks. In fact, they are trying to recoup draft picks for at least the first couple of rounds for this season. Prospects, I'm still not, our prospect pool is much better than it was a few years ago. It's not amazing because guys like Pettersson and Hughes are already playing with the team, but I still wouldn't want to give away any prospects unless you absolutely had to. But then it's got to make sense, right? If you attach a sweetener to a Louis Eriksson or to a Brandon Sutter trade as opposed to buying them out, then you got to make sure that it makes sense overall for the direction of your team, and that's not making you weaker actually down the road because you've given away now or traded away someone that you had plans in your top 9 or your top 4 D-man or whatever it may be. So, untouchables obviously as sweeteners, Hoglander and Podkolzin, Rathbone, even Ulevia, I wouldn't really attach in anything like that. So, does that mean a Kolind or a Gadjevich or a Rafferty is more expendable? Perhaps, but then would the other team even consider them of any worth? So there's always a challenge that way. So to answer your question, I would prefer, number 1, I prefer a buyout, use it. You have one of them, use it. Number 2, burying contracts in burying players in the minors. And number 3 would be trading, including prospects or picks as sweeteners in trying to move out assets. Second question is from Idris, and it says, how do you feel that TSN says the Canucks will be very active on the trade market? Idris, I believe it. I believe that they will be because of, the Canucks are not the only team in a tricky situation when it comes to salary cap for next year and future years. We know it's a flat cap. We know there is going to be a lot of other issues that go into decisions. And that's kind of what I talked about yesterday is yes, I'm getting impatient, but I understand that it's way more complicated than I think even I would make it out to be. So yes, they have to clear out money. They have to make space so they can sign the UFAs that they want to, which I'll get to in a second in a future question. But I do see them being active on the trade market. And active meaning at least they're going to be trying to do something. And it sounds like Jim Benning has been talking to general managers daily for the past 2 or 3 weeks ever since the Canucks were eliminated by the Vegas Golden Knights way back on September 4th. Feels like ages ago now. So I do think they'll be active on the trade market, at least actively trying to do things. Whether or not they'll be successful in pulling off any major trades, we shall see. But no, I do believe it that the Canucks will be one of the more active teams because I think they surprised a lot of people, including their own management. at how competitive they were in these playoffs. So they might want to tinker, might want to try and get them to become a true contender faster than we thought they might. Next question from Maestro. Do you think an all Canadian division for the upcoming season? I think it's a possibility, Maestro. I think it's a possibility, especially I heard Greg Wyshynski of ESPN talk about this. If they don't want to go to a true two-city bubble system again for next season, they're going to have to come up with creative ways to make it work. And a couple ways they could make it work would be starting teams off in regional hubs, so to speak, or at least play regionally, so you kind of limit the amount of traveling you have to do. And if that's the case, and if the border is still an issue, especially letting Americans into Canada, then maybe you have an all Canadian division. At least, like I said, not for the entire season, but at least until they are allowed to travel and get fans in, or B, a vaccine comes out, or maybe a combination of both. Now, it's not perfect math because Seattle's not in there yet. So there are 31 teams. So I guess you could go 3 divisions of 8, and the Canadian division of 7 with Vancouver, Edmonton, Calgary, Winnipeg, Toronto, Ottawa, and Montreal, of course. Yeah, I guess that would make sense because Seattle's not in our league yet next year. So you could go 8, 7. Then you think, what would the other 3 divisions be? Well, I think one of them would be kind of the northeastern area of the United States. So all the teams that are crammed into that area, like New York, New Jersey, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, Washington, all those guys, right? Boston in the northeastern corner. Then you have like the middle and then the western part of the United States. So the 3 California teams, Arizona, Vegas, and then you have to include a couple more, maybe include Dallas in there right now. And then lastly would be the bottom right of the United States, if that makes sense, the southeastern part. So the 2 Florida teams and other East Coast teams and maybe some Central teams as well. So yes, to answer your question, Maestro, it is doable. And I think it is possible that that's one solution they're going to be looking at for sure. It'd be kind of cool, right, to see us play against Toronto, Montreal more often. We already get our fill of Calgary and Edmonton, but then also to see a bit more of Winnipeg as well, although they have Connor Hellebuyck, the Vezina Trophy winner. Josh Gold says this: do you see Hoglander making the club? He wants to come play in the NHL. Sounds like the Comets might not play. Thoughts? Yeah, I've always said that I don't think Hoglander will make the team, even in a non-COVID world. I didn't think he or Podkolzin because he's under contract, but even Hoglander, I didn't think they'd make the team for this season coming up out of camp. But given that the Swedish League, depending on when that ends, and especially if Utica does not play next year, if the AHL does not play, or they play in a different type of scenario or different rules, then that gets tricky because it's supposed to be a development league and that's your farm team. You want to be developing players, but if they're not able to do so, they're going to have to look at other ways to develop these players, i.e. having them play in Europe and so on and so forth. So I do think that, I still think even if he tries out, I'm not convinced that Hoglander will make the team out of training camp next season, whether it's in November, December, January. But depending on schedules, I do see him being as a potential call up midway through the season or maybe near the end of the season. And it wouldn't be crazy if Hoglander and Podkolzin joined the Canucks at the end of next season, just as they're either securing or pushing for a playoff position. So I see him making the club, Josh, but not at the start of next season. It would have to be somewhere midway through or near the end of next season. So that's my thoughts, but I'm excited to see him. Kazal says this on YouTube: would you be okay with losing Markstrom and Tanev if the Canucks get a cheaper 1B goalie for backing up Demko and signing Toffoli? What are your thoughts? Yeah, I actually, given straight up, I would take Markstrom and Tanev over Toffoli and Demko, like straight up, if you weren't including money and term and contracts and salary cap. But considering all those things straight up, I would definitely take Demko and Toffoli over Markstrom and Tanev when you consider age, salary, and what the Canucks are trying to do. So I'd be fine with it. I've always said, and I heard firsthand, the Canucks have always had very high hopes for Thatcher Demko, Luongo type hopes for Demko. So I think that 3-game sample size was really good against Vegas in elimination games, but I think that just solidified that the Canucks really believe in Demko. So I do think that they will let Markstrom go if they can't come up with an agreement. They'll sign a veteran goalie that can handle almost 40% to 50% of the games next season, just in case, and then signing Toffoli and solidifying your top 6. I'd be all for that. And then that begs the question: if Tanev goes, what happens on your right side of your D? Does that make you more apt to sign Stetcher? Because if Tanev and Stetcher go, then you're only left with Tyler Myers left over from last season. Brogan Rafferty gets one of those spots, and does Jordy Ben fill in the right, or then do the Canucks go out and try and find a right shot D-man? But to answer the original question from Kazel, yes, I'd be fine. I'd be okay with losing Markstrom and Tanev if it means Demko, Toffoli, and a cheaper backup goalie. And last question, very interesting one from Patrick Starr. Why did Marcus Nasm leave the Canucks for New York? And what are your thoughts when it happened? Also, do you think we could have won the Cup in 2011 if Nasm was on the team? Okay, so quickly, when it happened, wasn't unexpected, which I'll get to in a second. And it was kind of overshadowed by Trevor Linden's retirement. I remember they both played their last game with the Canucks on the same day, and Trevor got all the accolades because of his storied history as a Vancouver Canuck. And then whereas Marcus Nasm, who also had a really good history with the Canucks, kind of was almost an afterthought. That season, Alain Vigneault was putting him with different line combinations and line partners, sometimes first line, second line, third line, off all throughout the lineup. This was 2 years after Bertuzzi left the team in 2006. Also, Nasm wasn't happy with Vigneault's defensive strategy, defensive style of coaching, and I think I saw this part. I saw on Wikipedia. Nasm said that he made it clear that the style of the play and the players he got to play with were going to be important factors in deciding whether or not to re-sign with the Canucks or go to another team. And if he wasn't happy with the style of play and he wasn't happy with the guys he was playing with, that's probably why he left. I was fine with it when it happened. I wasn't upset. I don't think the team wronged him or anything like that. I certainly don't think that he wronged the team. Now, would he have helped in 2011? I think he would have helped. I don't say the Canucks would have won the Cup if he would have been there. There's so many other factors. But in 2008, 2009, in his one season with the Rangers, he had 46 points in 82 games, so not bad. Then 2009, 2010, retired from NHL, played at Modo, Swedish Elite League, had 29 points in 29 games. And then who knows what would happen in the 2010, 2011 season. If he was on the Canucks, remember Mason Raymond got hurt in that series, so I could have seen him playing on the second line along with Ryan Kessler and one of Higgins or Hansen and play on that second line. And yeah, that's a pretty good, and then be on the second line power play. I think that's pretty good. So I think he would have helped the Canucks' chances. Would he have made a big enough difference to swing the tide against Boston? That is so hard to say. My gut feeling is no. I still think that Boston wins that series. I think it's the Hamhuis injury, the Rome suspension that were bigger issues. But obviously getting shut out 4-0 and not playing well in Boston, the Canucks probably could have used some more offense and more leadership. So maybe it's a coin flip if the Canucks would have won with Naslund in the lineup. But he definitely would have played on the second line. He wouldn't have, I don't think he would have unseated. As a 37-year-old, he wouldn't have played ahead of Burrows with the Sedins because they were doing magical things together. So great question, Patrick. So there you go, Canucks fans. Some Canucks questions for you, past, present, and future. Would love your reaction to my answer on any of those questions, especially if you agree or disagree with anything that I said. Leave a comment below. I'd love to read, react, and reply. As always, subscribe if you like to, like this video if you like to, and I hope that you join me tonight at 10 p.m. on YouTube for my weekly live stream. Stay safe, stay healthy, take care of yourselves, and take care of each other. God bless, and go Canucks go.